Hello Internet. Today we have this 4090 from MSI that came in for repair. Card appears to be untouched, and the customer said something popped and smoked, so first thing to do is to check for shorts. Nothing here. Fuse is okay. The 1.2 and 1.8 are okay. 5 volt is short, and the 12 volt is short. PEX is okay, and I can't get to memory now, so for now, all we know is that we have a short on 12 and 5, and that the connector is halfway ripped off the board as a bonus. Surely this guy could fix it, right? Right. Okay.
Okay.
So let's peel off some of the protective film and check for a short. Nope. Still short.
Bummer.
I guess I have no option but to actually do some work today. Oh well. Let's get her naked then. Halfway there, some sign of liquid on the back cover and also on the board itself. And what appears to be a serious blowout by one of the capacitors that's filtering the 12 volt coming into the driver MOSFET. Hopefully nothing serious. After all, MSI is the only 4090 on the market that has fuse protected 12 volt rail coming from the high power connector. They only use one fuse, but it's better than none if you ask me. This gigabyte here is a great example of why fuses matter. In any case, we have what appears to be a multi-layer damage, something that's not many dare to repair, let alone even attempt to repair. But since I got hit by a car the other day and I'm still sitting home sick, why not put all that time into something good and try to get this thing fixed? On top of already existing short on 12 and 5, we also have a short on memory. Oh, and the fuse is almost blown. Like maybe 99% there, which is better than 0% compared to Gigabyte or Asus, for example. But who cares? Manufacturers today can't afford to put fuses on board nowadays. And if you think that you get what you pay for, you're wrong. MSI is not the most expensive 4090 money can buy. But they are the only ones who put fuses on a high power voltage rail, even with their budget Ventus models. That's something for you to think about before spending nearly $2,000 on a monster from Asus, for example. In any case, this driver MOSFET is toast, and I got it removed, so I'll start some digging and see where we end up. Okay, the easy part of the repair is complete, and all resistances seem normal, so let's power the board and look at it with a thermal camera, which will allow me to spot any problems long before they do any damage. And there we have it. 3 out of 4 phases are running a bit too hot, for whatever reason. Why this phase don't work, I have no idea, so I'll start aimlessly poking around some of the pins where we hope to find a problem. And the first pin to poke around would be this one here, where I am looking for 12 volt, and that was looking good. The voltage is low because the cord is pulling more amps than it should be, but we can ignore this for now. Second pin to check is VCC. We can check that at this resistor here, and we have 5 volt. Third, let's see if the driver MOSFET is being turned on by this pin, and it reads 3.3 volt, so that's good. Now let's check for the PWM signal, and there's nothing. That explains the lack of phase activity we saw on a thermal image earlier. This PWM signal comes from the back of the board, and according to the scope, the signal is not there. The origin of this signal is at the driver MOSFET near the bottom right, and then it goes all the way back to the PWM generator, as you may call it. But there's no signal there either. Now there's a second VCC pin that I didn't check, so let's go ahead and do that now. And we do have 5 volt there, which isn't helping. My guess the problem could be with the feedback, which goes from here through a resistor into a controller feedback pin. But upon checking connection between A and B, clearly the connection is there, so problem's gotta be somewhere else. I then looked at the donor board and checked the nearby resistors in the area of a blowout, and on a good board, this resistor here reads 0 ohm, but on our board, it reads nothing, so it looks like we have a resistor that's blown. This resistor takes voltage from VCC pin we measured earlier, and it delivers it to the enable pin of the driver MOSFET, effectively turning it on. The short circuit on 5 volt we measured earlier now makes perfect sense. Resistor simply blown due to a failed driver MOSFET, which as a result of its death, shorted 5 volt, memory, and 12 volt to ground, giving us all sorts of problems. And after replacing this resistor, the driver MOSFET has finally turned on, but the signal it's generating is not normal and the board is pulling way too many amps for whatever reason. All phases appear to be working under thermal view, but something is clearly wrong. Okay, so we had this resistor blown. Let's follow it and check everything along the way. This resistor here is 2 ohms, no short on any of these 2 capacitors, and at this point I'm at a loss. So I'll go ahead and disable that phase again and see what it does. The amperage draw is now much less, though still a bit too high. But if we look at the signals on the memory phases that are on their left, they are normal, taking about 200 nanoseconds, whereas a signal on the right is almost half that time. In theory, if driver MOSFET does not receive PWM signal from the controller, there should be no signal at the output. But in this very unusual case, we have no PWM, yet the signal on the output is present somehow. The reason for that is because on this card, PWM is shared among 2 phases. If we follow this resistor, we can see that both driver MOSFETs are connected through a couple of 2 ohm resistors, as you can see here. Why that is, I don't know and I don't care. So I'll put this resistor back to where it was, check for a PWM signal to confirm that it is simply not there, and just go ahead and replace the multi-phase controller because at that point that's all I have left. The multi-phase controller will come from an identical board, which was provided by a viewer like you, so I won't even have to flash it. It should already be programmed correctly. And once everything cooled down, confirming we don't have any shorts, powering the board confirms that the problem was the controller. As you can see, all signals are now clean and the board pulls just over 2 amps as it should. Perfect. Now let's boot the card and see if it posts. Incredible. And I really hope I earn your like with this repair, so that the YouTube would send me a fat check so I can feed myself and my family of 30. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this was educating and entertaining. Goodbye.